In a recent cabinet session, the Armenian government reviewed a broad range of issues, including a new phase of relations with Azerbaijan, along with a broader push to make the Armenia market more attractive and the early stages of infrastructure planning linked to the anticipated trip route. These discussions are unfolding against the backdrop of a regional visit by US Vice President J.D. Vance to Armenia and Azerbaijan later this month. Joining me now to discuss this is Associate Professor Orkan Valiev, Head of Department of Kaiser University. Welcome this morning.
Pleasure.
First, I want to discuss a number of things, but I think the first thing that really is to focus on is there's increasing talk about preparing Armenia's economy for more structured interaction with Azerbaijan. What do you think are the concrete steps that the government needs to envisage and move through, and how would that impact its already limited but growing economic contacts between Azerbaijan and Armenia?
It seems that the Armenian side is starts to implement the outcomes of the Washington summit. Because as we know, the main outcomes that came out in Washington, and they initiated a draft peace agreement, and then that gave such a promises that President Aliyev mentioned, that we want to leave our promises that we did here. So this is, and also the economic integration that must be on the table in order to facilitate integration between two countries, because it seems that yes, the peace is an inevitable solution, specifically in terms of the uncertainty of the global politics. We need it, we are being surrounded the different kinds of the conflicts, Iran or Ukraine and so on. So therefore the peace must be on the table. So we have actually done many issues. For example, both side delegations visited countries. Maybe we will see the next visits in this year. I don't know. But economy is just a strategic version, because if you don't have economic integration, so the political and diplomatic the success achievements will be just nonsense. So therefore, Azerbaijan starts to export oil products through Georgia to Armenia. That has been mentioned by Armenian officials, including Foreign Minister and Prime Minister as well. And also Azerbaijan opened its border, sending just the products of grain and other goods from the territory of Azerbaijan to Armenia. That has been mentioned by the Armenian officials as well. I think we will see the main conclusions on the ground through these the economic implementation. And also, we have the trip, the another issue. So therefore, the economic integration that must be on the table, and I think this is the positive momentum from Armenian side towards the normalization process. The normalization process could have different kinds of aspects. First, of course, the political and diplomatic connection that we have in 2 times in Abu Dhabi, the Washington, and so on. But economies, we cannot imagine the implementation of the outcomes of the Washington summit in terms of the finalization of the peace without economic integration. This is what has been mentioned by the Armenian officials. This is a positive momentum.
Right. Okay. So in that sense, I just want to hone in on what you said in regards to the TRIP project, because we've seen signs of accelerated work in regards to the Trump route for peace and prosperity, but coinciding with the regional visit that Vice President J.D. Vance will be coming to this region. What concrete outcomes should we expect from this phase?
Implementation of TRIP or Zangezur corridor anyway is just great initiative, came from Azerbaijan right after the Second Karabakh War. We are being witnessed the transformation of trade routes from the east to the west anyway. So this is just an initiative that came from the Baku that to involve Azerbaijan, the South Caucasus to the international global trade route. So this is great achievement that the United States involved this project through the names of the TRIP, right? And the visiting of the Vice President Vance is another, the huge the step for the future of the region, entire region. The last one, high level of visiting, was, if I'm not mistaken, many years ago, maybe more than 15 years ago. So, but it was different context. But now it's a different context, so not just diplomatic ties. And also they will discuss the economic integration, economic process implementation of the Three Broad. I think this is quite enough different context, because we used to just witness the different kinds of visits, the way they discuss the diplomatic issues, political issues. But now we will have an opportunity to discuss the implementation of TRIP, which is just equals the economy.
Right. And the Armenian government has also indicated that work on the new constitutional draft is advancing. When should we expect the text to be finalised and for information to be handed out in regards to that?
Yes, this is another the issue that Azerbaijan has a certain requirements which is based on international law recognition of its territorial integrity. But however, there is the point that President Aliyev said that in an interview we can see the implementation of the Three Broad maybe in 2028. So it seems that yes, there is not just a local, regional agreement and also international agreements. They initiated the draft agreement, draft peace agreement in Washington, so involved the United States. So therefore, I think that there is a certain positive momentum in advancing relations. So in advancing relation is based on the Armenian the constitutional amendments. So I think we will see. I'm positive to that issue. So I think we will see the certain the amendments. I don't know how to say the concrete the points, but that will facilitate the implementation of the Three Broad and also the finalization peace agreement between two countries. Because the both leaders was in Abu Dhabi just within days ago. So the President Aliyev said that we have been living in peacetime since 6 months. So this is quite enough. Important. The parallel to that, the Pashinyan said that in an interview in the United States, right after the Washington summit, that we don't know to live in terms of Armenian society. We don't know to live in peace and to work in peace. I think the both sides understood this strategic importance, so specifically in terms of uncertainty of the global politics. So therefore, I think of course it won't be easy, because we are discussing the transformation of over the last 200s, the political and military establishments that came from the Russian Empire time. So anyway, so of course it won't be easy, but it will be done.
You mentioned that it's going to be roughly 2028, which is 2 years from now. Do you think that's too long in regards to Armenia is also going through elections later on?
It was just roughly. So maybe it will be early. I don't know. But my position is that yes, that statement was enough to say that yes, we will be able to see the positive momentum in terms of constitutional amendments in Armenia. Right. So, this is actually the process has already become the global issue. So, for example, Debo in Abu Dhabi and awarded nominated right to the certain the laureate. So, and also the vice president visit to the region. It's not a small issue; it's a huge issue.
Yes.
So, therefore, I'm positive, and I think that we will be able to see the positive steps that will facilitate the finalization peace agreement to countries.
Great. And then the Cabinet also discussed amendments to the law on the state treaties regarding it as a critical technical step. The government is said to be preparing legislation to fast track for a potential final peace treaty. What are your thoughts in regards to that?
Actually, from Armenian side, it's not easy, because over the last 3 decades, they integrated in the wrong way. We know what was that the situation, invasion, also one. So they designed the constitutional the background, or just jurisdiction background in terms of different the way. So, but now it's time to make change. That. Such kind of change amendments will not just bring the peace agreement, also will bring prosperity for the entire region, including Armenia, which is under the blockades, for example. So the change the basis of the jurisdiction and also constitutional amendments that will define the future of the implementation of the Washington outcomes. Over the last 5 years, the both sides discussed in terms of different platforms, and also they had the Abu Dhabi bilateral meetings. But however, the final points of this process was in Washington summit that President Ali repeatedly mentioned its strategic importance. So therefore, over the last 6 months, we started to witness implementation of outcomes of the Washington summit. Therefore, President Aliyev said that we have been living in peacetime over the last 6 months. So living in peacetime, it means that yes, we started to experience started economic cooperation. So the delegations visit both countries. So they opened the borders, and also maybe we will be able to discuss the opening borders with Turkey and Armenia as well, which of course Turkey has a certain the points in terms of the recognition of Azerbaijan territorial agreement. But however, they accepted that yes, the both sides has already the positive momentum. So this is, I think, the huge the momentum for the integration.
And do you think everything is going in the right direction then in regards to the momentum, things coming together, infrastructure, planning, the constitution as well that needs to be finalised because of the importance of the US influence in the region and because of J.D. Vance coming over and the trip route?
Actually, President Aliyev said that. Clarified and identified the involvement of the United States contribution and its importance. And also I think the great initiatives came from Baku right after the Second Karabakh War, and the 5 years process involved the United States to the process in terms of the implementation of Zengezur corridor in the name of the Tree Road, for example. So I think quite enough important, strategic important.
Yes, well, thank you, Mr. Valiev, for talking to me this morning and for informing our audience. Thank you.
Pleasure.